Take off.
Eddie and Edgar. Oscar Delahoya has tweeted, "Lonesome Eddie, you couldn't deliver Edgar Berlanga to Canelo, and now you want to throw Munguia's name out there. Good luck with that." Does that worry you? I know you say that DAZN like that fight, but
Oscar Delahoya works for DAZN, so he's a fucking complete idiot, to be honest with you, because his job is to put on good fights for DAZN, and he hasn't really done that with Jaime Munguia, has he? I mean, it's probably the worst managed career I've ever seen in the history of boxing, Jaime Munguia. His opponent list has been awful, other than Derevyanchenko recently, who I know is your friend, but he's also a faded fighter. So what I'll do with Oscar De La Hoya is I'll speak to his bosses and I'll come back to him.
Oscar got a...
Ooh. Those are the words of Eddie Hearn. And I look at that as a very, very intense response. And what I mean by intense response is I never heard Eddie Hearn call anybody a effing idiot. You know, I never heard him come at that or anybody that way. And yes, it was intense. Yes, it was, it was what it was. It was where it was. But was he telling the truth? Not about the effing idiot part. All right. But, you know, it's warranted because it's stupid. What Eddie's saying is we work for the same people. You know, it's almost like this. It's almost like if Bob Arum and Don King both worked for ESPN Network. ESPN's network, they both promoted fights through that network. That's like Don King saying, well, hey, how does it feel, Bob, that your fighter that I may have a fight for you, yeah, how does it feel that you couldn't deliver? Like, that would make no sense for business saying that type of stuff. Based on what Oscar has said, it comes off that Oscar is not talking business. He's talking personal. He's taking these fighters are taking jabs at certain people personally versus business. See, you know it's more than just, oh, well, how does it feel? Like, how does it feel? Like, why are you talking about that instead of trying to come together and improve the sport? That's a bad sign, people, of crash and burn. And it seems like Oscar De La Hoya is crashing and burning. But was he telling the truth about Jaime Munguia? It's like, well, he just got Edgar Berlanga. You've had Jaime Munguia since like, what, 2018 or something like that? 19? You've had this man for, what, 4 or 5 years. And out of these 4 or 5 years, you didn't get him the Charlo fight. You didn't get him the Andrade fight. You didn't get him anything, really. You didn't get him the Golovkin fight. It's so many fights that Jaime Munguia should have got that he hadn't got. And it's crazy because at the end of the day, at the very end of the day, I feel that Eddie knows. He's like, hey, I'll speak to his bosses because his bosses are my bosses. I don't necessarily have to talk to him because they're going to make Oscar do what's right for DAZN, not the other way around. See, Oscar can play this, these are my fighters type thing all he wants. But at the end of the day, at the very, very end of the day, Oscar, if he needs to deliver with Jaime Munguia, somebody else that's following Jaime Munguia is going to take action, you know. And as far as Derevyanchenko's a faded fighter, the dude's 38 years old and gave Jaime Munguia Hades. I mean, he gave this man all types of problems. Okay? He almost stopped Jaime Munguia. That was a scare. Okay? And coming together with Jaime Munguia and Edgar Berlanga, Eddie Hearn, you didn't think he concocted this? You didn't think he strategized this? Okay, well, we got Gennady Golovkin. We have Jaime Munguia. We have a lot of fights for you. And then Jaime Munguia and Edgar Berlanga are the same age. they can fight 2 or 3 times. That could possibly be the next Canelo versus Golovkin. You know what I mean? Like, those are the things you think about business-wise without getting personal. See, Eddie's working business. Oscar's working personal. How does it feel to do that? Like, why are you worse? Like, what are you in competition on? You've lost Canelo. Canelo's gone. Canelo's not even with Eddie no more. But you're still mad because in his mind, in Oscar's mind, I would have still kept Canelo. Canelo left you. He got with Eddie. He left Eddie for a fight. He got back with Eddie. And now he's back with Al Heyman and PBC for another fight. You know, and Oscar's just bitter about that. And I don't understand. And every time he gets a chance, he talks Eddie's name. Yeah, I know you don't like the guy, but we know why you don't like the guy. Okay? We know why. You know, this guy is putting on shows and he's coming over to your territory and then you're telling him, stay in your lane. Right? Dude, we all know what that means. That means you want him to stay over there because he's done enough damage to you and your promotional team already. However, he's not done the amount of damage that you've done, Oscar, to yourself. See, and I think Oscar needs to really start owning up to accountability for the things that he's done. You know, anybody that's dealing with any type of substance abuse knows that denial is one of the worst things that you can ever do. That's why one of the steps is taking accountability for the things that you've done, righting your wrongs. See, if anything, him talking about Canelo, saying that Canelo left him for no good reason, that's stupid. Okay, that's ludicrous because that means he's taking no accountability for the things that he done to make Canelo leave. And Canelo was that only guy or one of those guys that stayed when a lot of those guys like Wilder and Spence and Garcia left to go to Al Heyman. Okay? So when you don't find any fault in yourself, you can't see that there's nothing wrong with what you're doing, you're always going to have this mindset that I'm always right and you will never learn or change or grow, most importantly. That's why Canelo never came back to Oscar De La Hoya, because there was never any sign of, hey, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. You know, and that's something that people need to really take into account with Oscar De La Hoya. So for him ragging at Eddie Hearn about every little thing that he possibly can, it's only showing deflection because he doesn't know how to admit or confess that he was wrong in losing these fighters. With Jaime Munguia, those fights should have happened and they didn't. You know, and the thing is, it's like, hey, stop talking about fighters and promoters when you have your own problems with your own fighters and promoters. You know the man promotes, so do you, supposedly. Come together and let's make a super fight between Edgar Berlanga and Jaime Munguia. And I think, and that's all, you guys are all on the zone, so why are you bickering to this guy, the very guy that you supposed to be siding with? It ain't like Oscar and Eddie hasn't worked together before. I think Oscar's angry. He's angry because him and Eddie has worked together before, and knowing that they worked together before, it comes off in Oscar's mind that Eddie is a traitor because Eddie betrayed him by grabbing Canelo. That's what I think. That's my counterpunch. You guys tell me what you think of Eddie Hearn calling Oscar De La Hoya a complete effing idiot. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace!